I was working the night shift at my local wall bombs back when it used to be open 24 hours. Usually, there were less than 10 customers during my shift, but I had to work on stock when I wasn't helping someone. It was a big store, and sometimes there was one other employee working, but that night, I was alone. While stocking the cereal aisle, I heard something fall in the next aisle. The store entrance was loud, so it surprised me that a customer might have entered unnoticed. Then, I saw a man standing at the edge of the aisle, staring blankly at me. "Do you need something, sir?" I asked. No. Could you just point me to the eggs?" His face looked strange, not ugly, just unusual, like his upper lip stuck out too far. I hurried to finish my task, uncomfortable at the thought of ringing him up later. As I pushed the U-boat cart to the back, the same man cut me off in the middle of the aisle. He started making awkward small talk, asking my name, age if I went to school, and why I worked the night shift. Then, his questions got weirder. "Do you go to parties a lot? Got a girlfriend?" I said no, and then he asked if I'd ever had a boyfriend, placing his hand on my shoulder. I pulled away, pushing the cart faster. He followed. "I'm not into whatever you're thinking," I said, moving quickly toward the back storage room. He didn't follow me in. I waited at the register, assuming he would just leave, but after 20 minutes, he was nowhere to be seen. Needing to use the bathroom, I rushed to the employee restroom at the back of the store. Moments after sitting down, my heart dropped as the bathroom door creaked open. I held my breath, lifted my feet so I wouldn't be visible under the stall, and stayed still. Then, I looked up. An eye was staring at me through the stall door crack. I screamed. With no way out, I grabbed the box cutter from my pocket and slid it through the crack, forcing him to move. I took my chance, kicked the stall door open into his face, and ran out of the store. I called my boss 5 times before he finally picked up. He told me to call the cops. By the time they arrived, the man was gone. I only worked 2 more night shifts after that, and never saw him again. I used to work the night shift at a gas station off a lonely highway. From midnight to 6 a.m., I'd see maybe 1 or 2 people all night. The only reason I kept the job was the extra $5 an hour my boss paid me. One cold December night, I was reading the newspaper when a red pickup truck pulled into the lot. A man got out but just stood by the gas pump staring at it. I looked up again. He was still standing there. Then, slowly, he turned his head toward me. I couldn't see his face, but I knew he was staring. I pretended not to notice and went back to the paper. When I looked up again, he was closer to the front door, standing completely still. I locked the door and flipped the sign to "closed." I didn't care if it got me in trouble. I was scared. I crouched behind the counter, texting my friends in desperation. Minutes passed. When I finally looked again, he was right outside the door. I picked up the phone and called the police. The operator hesitated, but I begged them to send someone. Then, I heard heavy thumps on the door, loud, forceful, and then silence. A car started outside, and when I looked, the truck was gone. When the cops arrived, I gave them the truck's description, but I couldn't describe the man's face. I never saw it. A few months later, I quit that job. 2 years ago, I was called in for a night shift at 7-Eleven from 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. It was a quiet area, but we'd get a handful of late-night customers. That night, a man in his mid-20s entered, making strange, loud noises. I assumed he had a mental disability, so I felt sympathy for him. He approached the counter, head facing me but eyes staring at the ceiling. I tried speaking to him, but he only responded with loud noises. Feeling uneasy, I handed him a bag of chips and told him he could take it. Eventually, he walked out. An hour later, the store phone rang. I picked up, only to hear the same eerie yelling from earlier. I hung up, now paranoid, constantly checking the windows. When my shift ended at 4 a.m., I was relieved to go home. But the moment I stepped inside, my phone rang. I picked up and heard the same loud, unsettling noises. I slammed the phone down, too scared to sleep. I kept hearing strange noises all over my house, convinced I was being watched. Weeks later, I went into my basement, and found papers scattered everywhere. On the closet wall, written in Sharpie, were the words 7-Eleven, along with my store's address and my home address. The most chilling part, I found several kitchen knives hidden in the closet. Whoever he was, he had been living down there for who knows how long, and I have no idea why he left. I worked in the K9 unit for 9 years, often taking graveyard shifts. I'd seen weird things, but one night still haunts me. I was driving down a road surrounded by crops when I spotted a white van parked off the road. Both doors were open. Flashing my lights, I waited for someone to come out. Nothing. So, I got out with my K9 Sammy. As we neared the van, Sammy started pulling hard, barking wildly. I opened the trunk and nearly passed out from the sight and smell. 7 body bags, feet sticking out from each. I radioed for backup when I heard a twig snap nearby. Sammy broke free and ran into the crops. I drew my gun and followed. Then, the rustling started. Movement everywhere. I stopped, heart pounding. And then, arms wrapped around my throat. I gasped, struggling. I was going to die. Suddenly, a scream. The man let go. Sammy had bitten his leg. Without thinking, I turned and fired. The man fell. I grabbed Sammy and ran. I made it to my car and drove a quarter mile down the road before stopping. I knew people were still in the crops. Backup arrived, but the van was gone. I hadn't even gotten a plate number. It was my first few months on the force. I had sworn to protect, but I let a van full of killers escape. To this day, I still wonder, if I had stayed, would I have made it out alive?